Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of White Belt MMA podcast. And it's an absolute pleasure to have on the show today Alex Coyote Gonzalez, who's set to fight on April 16th for Combate Global. So, Alex, how you doing, my man?
All great, all great. Getting ready, getting in shape. Already taking care about the weight, so everything going great.
Yeah, definitely, man. And then for Combate Global, it's a really big organization, man. So, tell us about how'd you ended up getting on that card, and how'd you react to the news once you found out?
Well, first of all, I was ready to fight already in Combate last year. I was training hard for that fight on March 20th, and what happened is the pandemic stopped everything. I was supposed to fight in Combate America as a card on Mexico City,
Yeah.
and then the pandemic stopped everything. But finally, we got the chance to go back at it. I already had the chance thanks to the guy who manages me. He got me the fight. I was ready to fight another Mexican there, but this time we're fighting in Miami, Florida now.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then, like you mentioned with the pandemic, and I seen on your Instagram, you've been traveling all around. So was it because of the pandemic that it kind of forced you to kind of like change your hand into traveling to the States to get extra training? Because I don't know, how did the pandemic affect like the gyms in Mexico?
Uh, it affected a lot, but also I much rather do my camps around here. I get
Mhm.
a great work. I always try to chase the best places to train. Right now is here at Sequence Jiu Jitsu where I'm training. I'm getting like awesome work with Johnny, with Alan, his dad John. I'm learning a lot, working a lot of my ground game. My last fight I lost it because of the Jiu Jitsu, so I've worked a lot on that, covering all the holes. And I like to travel a lot. I like to be all around. So that's something I love to do. And always taking care of me, of my family with the pandemic, but mostly it's because I'm always looking for the top place to train.
Yeah, definitely. And then like for you, was that always a mindset you've always had since the start of your combat sports career that you're like, in order to get better, like I need to train with the best? Or was it one of those, like you said, it's like, for your previous fight, like you have certain moments in your fight that you're like, okay, I need to address this. So you have to go to a certain gym to get certain work with certain people.
Well, it's something you learn with the time. Obviously, I had no idea when I started. I was at in a so-so Mexican MMA gym. I started when I was around 2011 when I started. So Mexico wasn't big of an MMA spot. I started doing boxing and I was doing great with that. But to be honest, you gotta start surrounding yourself with the big sharks if you wanna become one of them eventually.
Hmm. Definitely. And then like you said, it's like, you kind of mentioned at like the start of your career a little bit. So I'd love to like venture off into that. So for you, 2011, like you said, like MMA wasn't as big in Mexico, and for combat sports in general in Mexico that has like a rich history of boxing and everything like that. Um, how come you didn't go down the boxing route, or you just always had like an inkling into MMA and you were like, and like it was one of those that like you like a first love at first sight that you're like, once you saw this I knew I was gonna do this as a career path? Or was it one of those you started doing a martial art and it just ventured off into a career?
Well, first I started training boxing in
Yeah.
Mexico City, and
Mhm.
that was mostly because Mexico is the kind of place you gotta know how to fight. You
Yeah.
know, like in everyday life, is a skill you need. Like
Mhm.
shamefully, yeah, right? But something you need to know. And I had no idea. When you're a kid, you fight, but you just like roll around the ground and beat up the other kid. But
Yeah.
as you grow bigger, you gotta learn how to throw hands, like to protect yourself, to survive right there. So I started doing boxing, and I fell in love with it. I loved the competition. I loved everything about it. But to be honest, like boxing is much of a harder sport in the sense of brain cells and stuff.
Mhm.
Then I started training MMA. Thankfully, to my boxing, I hang myself pretty well, but I had no idea of jiu-jitsu or anything. So, but when I started fighting MMA, I started getting paid for it, and I was like, "Damn, I gotta do this for the rest of my life," you know?
Yeah, that was the best thing. And especially with Mexico that has like a rich history of boxing. Like for you, like were you a fan yourself? Did you have any like boxers that like when you first started boxing, did you like want to kind of cater your game after?
Yeah, I mean, right when I started, the most famous one was Juan Manuel Marquez.
Yeah.
Juan
Yeah.
Manuel Dinamita Marquez, when he was fighting the Pacquiao fights and everything. I loved his style, like the counter punching and everything. I learned a lot of him, like Even the boxing gym I was attending was called after him. It was called Dinamita's gym, and I learned a lot of him. But I also love the old school fighters in Mexico City, like Salvador Sanchez, Julio Cesar Chavez, El Finito Lopez, and even Canelo. I like his style. I
Yeah.
love all the Mexican boxing.
That's awesome, brother. And then for you, like for anybody watching this that wants to get into combat sports, do you want to mention like your first day like experience? Like how did it go for you in the first day in the boxing gym, or like the first time they put you into spar?
Oh well, I went to an old school trainer for my first boxing classes. So to be honest with you, first classes were like boring, and I was like, "This is easy. I got this." I was just walking in front of a mirror, walking forward and backward, because they asked me, "What do you want to do this?" And I was like, "I want to fight. Seems fun."
Yeah.
So they started teaching me like from the beginning. But the first time I did sparring, I was like, "Whoa, this is something different." Because uh, I've been in fights in the streets and stuff, but it's something different when you get punched by someone who knows how to do it. But I loved it because you feel like this burn inside of you, like the first time you get hit and you want to hit back, but you have to be smart about it. So it's like a chess game, the boxing game. So I
Yeah.
loved I love my first time, and I'm sure you can have a pretty great time on your first class. It's not as bad as people may think.
Yeah, definitely. And then for you, like the more like you started getting more involved with your game and everything like that, how did it feel like, especially right now looking back at like that kid that walked into that boxing gym and like he's looking at you now. So like what would you tell that kid that like walked in that day, like looking back at it, like how would you feel about your like evolution of like combat sports? Do you feel proud about like the like everything you've like, done and involved in your game?
Yeah, and to be honest, I'm proud of the evolution I had as a person and as a martial artist. How my mind is now, I think, is the biggest difference. Not my body, not my skills. Of course, they are too, but how my mind has changed from that little kid, that's the biggest difference. So, what I would love to say to that kid is, you can do it. Because I doubted myself a lot when I was starting, and a lot of people talk shit and tells you like you can do it, you can believe enough this and everything. They make you doubt, they make you go slower, they make you take less risks. So I would just say, believe in you. You got this. Like, it's possible. You can
Mhm.
do whatever you want if you set your mind and you're constant to it. It's all about that.
Yeah. I mean, that's beautifully said, right? And like, I don't know if there's a line that like someone said this before, but like great people, they usually tend to create their own path. So like for you, Alex, like I just think it was so cool that you created your own path in MMA. And like now like transitioning into MMA and like we kind of mentioned earlier, like you like to travel a lot, you like to like train with like different gyms. So, like right now you're training at Phoenix Jiu Jitsu with Johnny and Alan. But I also saw that, you've also had training sessions with like Benson Henderson and Alex Caceres and a bunch of other fighters. So like out of all those training sessions, right? Like all those gyms, like what's probably been like the coolest training partner that like you would have never thought that like, oh my God, I'm in the same room as him. Like not to get starstruck, but at the same time, it's like it's so cool that like, hey, I just remember I was watching your fight like, just a while ago, and now I'm here in the same gym. You getting tips to how to involve my game.
Well, to be honest, I think Benson was one of those because I used to watch him when I was a kid.
Mhm.
Like the little Mexican kid. It wasn't even something that would cross my mind to ever see Benson Henderson that close in person.
Yeah.
So be sharing the same mat at his own gym, and then get called out like to spar a little bit with him was like it was like a dream come true because I used to watch him when I was a kid. I also shared many training sessions with Alberto Del Rio,
Yeah.
el
Yeah.
patron, the WWE wrestler.
Yeah. Yeah.
We became so good friends, and it was the same. It was like an idol when I was a kid. And then he took me to his fight with Tito. I had such a blast. So many like wrestling fighters there, and it's been amazing what this life has given to me. I'm so thankful about it
That's
for the
awesome.
sport and everything.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, you mentioned Alberto Del Rio or Alberto El Portron. Like for you, like would you consider yourself like a wrestling fan, like a WWE fan, or just a lucha libre fan in general?
Lucha Libre fan, definitely. I
Yeah.
watched WWE when I was a kid. but lucha libre is in my blood, you know.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it's crazy that like not to get a little sidetracked here, but it's crazy how like vastly different the wrestling in the United States is compared to like lucha libre in Mexico. Because it's like lucha libre is like high flying, going through the ropes and everything like that, and then you have here in the United States, it's just kind of like a slow, big people that like it seems that like most of the wrestlers here are like what over 6'5", but
And they talk a lot. They talk a lot here.
that is true. That is true.
Yeah, Mexico City is like a crazy show, right? Something's happening like all the time. So fun.
Yeah. So that's awesome, brother. So, and then, not to mention another one of your other training partners, Brandon Moreno, and he just had a fight of the year like a couple months ago. So for you, knowing that you trained with him and I mean, I'm guessing you still train with him from time to time as well. How did it feel seeing him get so close? I mean, in my eyes, I thought he won that fight. So how did it feel for you seeing that your training partner go through such a tough fight like that?
Well, I just started training with him like just a couple of weeks.
Mm,
Thanks to Johnny, because Johnny uh, they uh, they programmed it, and Johnny invited me, and I got the chance to train with him, which I consider is the best fighter in the world in his division in 125 right now. So he wasn't my training partner when he fought Figueiredo, but as a Mexican, I love to see someone my own blood like going that far and giving such a fight. That was amazing, and I'm sure next time he can definitely take it home.
yeah, definitely. And yeah, man. So Alex, to bring it back to your career, like I said, like iron sharpens iron. You're going all these places to evolve your game and everything like that. So for you, like with your next fight against Combate Global, is there like for everyone that's watching here, like do you know like where they can watch your fight and what time, or if in terms of Florida, I know Florida might be opening up, so I don't know if it's an open event, but if so, please please tell us.
Yeah, it's gonna be still a closer. The first open event that is going to be the Jacksonville Usman versus Masvidal,
Mhm.
where Johnny is fighting. Uh, but mine is going to be April 16th. Um, I think you can watch it on Univision. I'm not sure how that globally works. I know in the States it's like channel.
Mhm.
Uh, and I think they most probably will have like some streaming services for it, probably YouTube or Facebook Live, because it's the comeback, so they want to get to as many people as they can. So it's gonna be pretty open. Just be sure to check the social media for Combate Global before the 16th, and for sure you'll find a way to watch for free, and you're gonna have such a great spectacle of fights. Right, there are a lot of Latin Americans, people from all over the world. It's gonna be a super sick show.
Yeah, awesome. And like I know for a fact when on April 16th, I'm gonna be legitimately be promoting your fight, making sure everyone tunes into your fight to
Appreciate
watch.
it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, brother. But yeah, man, just to bring it home to my last question, not to look past your next fight, but like, you know, once you're all done with MMA and everything like that, is there, something that you want the fans to remember you by, whether that be through your MMA career or just personally, just the way you are, like, is there a certain way that you want fans and the people around you to remember you by?
Well, as fighter, I always love to put on a show. None of my fight has ever ended in a decision, either win or lose. I always give my all and skill or be killed. So I always put on a show for my fights. So I want to be reminded as as a good fighter and as a show like on the cage, like the kind of guy you hear my name on the card and you have to watch that card. And I would like to leave a mark on the sport, mostly here in Mexico, to educate people and let them know that there's a lot of things behind the violence and the fighting, the art behind the fighting, the mindset for everything, how it works and how it is so distant from what people normally think. I would like to educate people a lot when I'm done with the fighting part.
Yeah, beautifully said, brother. Beautifully said. So, my man, like I told you at the beginning of it, I really appreciate the time. Before we go, do you want to plug in your social media so everyone watching this can go and follow you?
Oh, thanks a lot. You can find me on Instagram as Coyote Power. You'll find me there. And Facebook, I have it like Alex Ego for my last name. But I'm mostly on Instagram. Whatever you need, just hit me up. Coyote Power. Here I am.
Definitely, Alex. Definitely, Alex. So, once again, Alex, thank you so much, and I hope we get to do this again. And best of luck on April 16th. And to everyone watching, peace.